Hello there guys, welcome back to the channel and to another video. Today we are going to talk about creativity, how to be creative and not just copy. Well, have you ever imagined about this thin border which exists between just copying something when you're doing art and being creative about it? I am not going to talk about the realistic portrait artists here who make such amazingly detailed and textured portraits, how they are able to accurately represent the human form, the form of the face, the form of the whole body. No, today's episode is specially for all the illustrators out there. Well, who are illustrators? Illustrators are basically the artists, the people who represent the everyday things, the normal things in a more artistic manner. An artistic manner which is easy to understand in many cases, also in an artistic manner which is not so easy to understand but is instead symbolic of something. And for that, my friends, you do need a lot of creativity, because if you're just copying something when you're illustrating it, you are not really illustrating. You are not really representing it as it would have been in your imagination, as you want it to. You are representing it as it already is. So, talking about this fine border between plagiarism or copying and taking inspiration from something and being creative about it, making something creative. This border is so fine that you might already be crossing it without knowing about it. Whenever you are making an artwork, are you intending to credit the original creator of the image? Are you intending to credit the photographer if you're using that reference image, the model who is in that image? These are a lot of things which you need to keep in mind when you are taking reference from somewhere. And believe me, taking reference in case of illustrations especially is very important, because you can easily go astray in your imagination, but bringing that into a specific form so that you can represent it on paper does require you to get inspiration from references. Now, one very good practice, instead of just going to Pinterest and copying images from there for your reference, is you go to these royalty-free websites such as Pixabay or Pexels. I will just leave the link down in the comment section. These are places, these are repositories of royalty-free images. You can be a good Samaritan and provide credits, because the attribution links, the credits are all mentioned along with the files which you download. So you do have an option to copy that and mention that along with your post or video or whatever type of content you are creating. Now, as I said before, that taking reference is very important, but you might stop me here that, hey, how do I stop myself from just copying what is there in this reference image? Well, my friends, what is the reference image serving? What purpose is the reference image serving here? It is serving the purpose of expanding your visual library, because every artist, every illustrator needs a visual library of things such that you can put things down easily on paper, accurately on paper, not in the exact form in which you remember it, but close enough such that people can relate to what it exactly is. Now that we have covered the fair use policies when it comes to reference images, let's talk about the being creative part. Now, how do you define creativity? No, I'm not asking for you to look it up on the internet and just give me a definition. What do you think about it? Do let me know down in the comments. Well, in my terms, creativity can be defined as your ability to represent, to draw, to make something which your audience will either be able to completely relate to or would have absolutely not expected to be there in the first place. That is the element which I want when I'm talking about creativity. So let me give you two examples here. Two examples of a mouse which has been made into a character. Okay, so before this segment starts, just a quick disclaimer. Actually, I cannot use the images of Tom or even Jerry because they are not yet in the public domain. So it is my humble request, please do imagine Jerry here. But for Mickey Mouse, instead, I can use the images, because some of the older versions of Mickey Mouse, as a fun fact, are now in public domain. Okay, let's get on with it. Let's take Jerry here for one example and Mickey Mouse on the other hand. So talking about Jerry, he is a mouse. he has a rival sort of relationship with Tom, which is a cat. Very much expected in the natural world if you look at the food chain. But he runs and walks on two legs. He behaves absolutely human. Okay, he likes cheese, that is another thing which I think mice do like. But what about the rest of it? He is more anchored into humanity rather than just being an animal, a rodent. Okay, coming to Mickey Mouse. Mickey can talk like a human being. He wears red shorts, white gloves, and big yellow shoes. What do you expect? He, a mouse, has a pet dog. What? How big is he? Okay, if we look at Jerry, he's pretty small in scale. If you look at the world around him in all the episodes of Tom and Jerry, he is small. We are shown the world through the perspective of a mouse, not through the perspective of a human. But this is a mouse who behaves like a human. On the other hand, Mickey can ride a steamboat, he can pet a dog. So he is pretty big in scale if you compare to Jerry. So these are two distinctive images which you can form from a rodent character, a mouse. But these two are so distinct, in fact, that even if you want to recollect from memory, you can completely differentiate between Jerry and Mickey Mouse. And that is what I love about illustrations, character designs, and all the creative stuff. Because whenever I give you something, if I give you a human face, you might draw it as it is. Yes, that takes some amount of skill. But you can at the same time bend and sort of modulate all the characteristics of the human face. There will be two eyes, there will be a nose, there will be a mouth, but you can completely modulate. You can turn this face into a caricature, into a funny face, into sort of a nightmare illustration. If I give you this human face to draw, you can also go skin deep into the anatomy, drawing the adipose tissue, the muscular connective tissue, the bones, the skull, whatever you feel like. That, my friends, is creativity. So if you want to be creative, don't ask yourself the question, how do I become creative? Instead, ask yourself the question, what is it that I see and I can draw which others cannot? And once you start asking yourself that question, you are 90% through, because you have already fueled that creativity inside your head. And the rest 10%, well, it lies in your skills to put it down on paper. So go ahead and use all the resources which you have and fuel your creativity. Create that visual library, imagine stuff which others cannot, and put it down on the paper. Ignite that creativity in your mind. I'll see you in the next one. Calling all illustrators to be creative and be positive. See you all. Peace.